Yes, maritime domain is where China has been actually flexing its muscle. Many in India know about their aggression at the LAC on land, but it is actually in the seas, especially in what they call South China Sea, or what the Vietnamese call the East Vietnamese Sea, or what the Filipinos call the West Philippine Sea. These are the areas where the Chinese have been making extravagant claims. They have something called a 9-dash line, like you just pointed out. They want the entire South China Sea, and they have been building artificial islands there, more than near 3,200 square miles worth of it. And they have been claiming rocks and outcrops in the waters and trying to grab all the minerals there. And more importantly, trying to bully smaller neighbors in Asia. Like you rightly said, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia is not a direct claimant, but they also have now a tussle with China over Natunas. So the US Indo-Pacific Command, which covers this region, the Navy, has traditionally been looked up to by these smaller countries as a guarantor of their security against this expansionist bully China. But unfortunately, in recent years, the US security guarantees and the commitment to protecting these smaller countries has weakened, and there is a question about credibility of the US. So if they are now sending aircraft carriers and in a defiance of the Chinese, that may indicate that Donald Trump administration finally is going to take a harsher line on the Chinese maritime expansionism, because otherwise who's going to bell the cat, who's going to check this? Because all these smaller countries don't really have huge navies to be able to push back. Many of them only have coast guards, not even proper navies. Only Indonesia and Vietnam to some extent are militarily capable, but they dwarf in front of the Chinese might. So US Navy's presence is important. Australia is also wanting to play a bigger role there. Indian Navy, we sometimes have a presence there because to protect our commercial interests off the coast of Vietnam for ONGC and all that, for oil drilling. And the Chinese have sometimes tried to scare us away, saying that this is Chinese territory and you dare not come here. So this is the pattern of Chinese behavior. They think that nobody can stop them, or nobody is capable of pushing them back. But if the US is showing intent now, that is good. We would expect that smaller countries should also come together. They should be, we have the Quad formation, US, Australia, Japan, and India. We should be able to strengthen that quadrilateral mechanism and to have more naval presence, because the Chinese ultimately are deterred by force and by strength, as we are showing at the LAC. So if these smaller countries, and if the US is there, well and good. If the US is disinterested because Trump often does flip-flops, so be it. Other countries in the region, the middle powers, we have to come together. This is the moment. A coronavirus reminded us once, and now the way the Chinese are trying to extract concessions from smaller countries and browbeat them. This is reminding us again that our collective security is at stake. So one would hope, and you will remember also that Prime Minister activated our Navy also. Along with the Air Force and the Army, as soon as the tensions with China rose, because we do understand that the Chinese have a strategy of pushing westwards, southwards and westwards. Southwards is South China Sea, southwest is Indian Ocean. If we are going to concede the space to China in South China Sea, the next is Indian Ocean. Already they are sending submarines. They have taken over Hambantota port. They have in Sri Lanka, Kiau Piu in Myanmar, Gawadar in Pakistan. They, in the name of Belt and Road Initiative, yes, slowly but surely they are moving in our direction towards our backyard. So if we have to protect Indian Ocean region, if India is to be the number one there, we have to stop them in South China Sea. And therefore, I think it's very important that we coordinate with the Quad partner countries and make sure that this kind of, gunboat diplomacy, this is what is called in maritime terms. China is planning to build 11 aircraft carriers over the next decade, and they say that we will dwarf even the US Navy over there. And the US, they think anyway, is weak and internally divided. It doesn't have the capacity to project power in Asia anymore. So the Chinese think they're going to have a free hand. And it's very important for all the like-minded countries to come together. Japan is very keen on this. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has been calling for this kind of coalition for a long time, together with Vietnam, with Indonesia.